The so-called horns of consecration are among the most recognizable and debated emblems of Minoan Crete, stylized, U-shaped motifs that appear as freestanding stone or clay fittings, as painted symbols on frescoes and larnaques, and in sealstone imagery across palace sites. Since Arthur Evans coined the name, scholars have variously read them as abstracted bullhorns, markers of sacred space, architectural finials, celestial emblems, and even practical supports for ritual equipment. From Knossos to Phaistos and Malea, Minoan sites yield repeated occurrences of a distinctive U-shaped motif, sometimes rendered as large stone blocks with upward-pointing terminals and sometimes as painted or clay representations. Because these objects cluster in palace precincts, tombs, and shrine contexts, they have long been associated with religious practice and with the island's pervasive bull imagery. The question of what exactly the horns meant in Bronze Age Crete, and whether that meaning stayed constant over centuries and places, remains a live debate in Aegean studies. Archaeologically, horns of consecration appear in several material modes: monumental stone restorations and fragments set into palace parapets and entrances, famously reconstructed at Knossos. Ceramic or clay votive models and architectural fittings. Painted representations on coffins, frescoes, and sealstones. The stone examples at Knossos and other palatial sites are often placed on elevated architectural features, roofs, gateways, or pedestals, which reinforces their visibility and suggests a role in marking sacred precincts or focal points for public ritual. Horns of consecration frequently occur in visual company with other well-attested Minoan cultic signs, for example the labries, the double axe. There are some hypotheses as to what this symbol means. Sir Arthur Evans and many successors treated the motif as an abstracted pair of bullhorns, derived ultimately from the cult of the bull and functioning as a consecratory emblem affixed to tombs, shrines, and ritual buildings. This remains an explanation for contexts where the horns appear together with explicit bull imagery. Some scholars emphasize the physicality of stone or clay horns as fixtures, finials, throne backs, or supports for ritual equipment, for example holding up objects, rita, or cloth. In this view, the horns are not merely symbolic but part of the liturgical material culture of the palace. Another major strand links the horns to wider Near Eastern or Egyptian symbolic forms, for example the Egyptian Ake, the horizon sign. Proponents argue that the repeated, often elevated positioning of the horns may encode cosmological meaning in addition to, or instead of, animal cult connotations. Recent syntheses stress that the horns may mean different things in different contexts: a funerary marker in tomb assemblages, an architectural marker of sacrality in palace facades, and an icon of divine presence in pictorial media. This middle path accounts for variation without forcing a single functional definition across 3 centuries and many sites. Functionally, the horns appear to have played 2 complementary roles. First, as markers they designated places for ritual action, like altars, shrine roofs or tombs. Their vertical form at gateways and parapets created a visual shorthand for sanctity. Second, where material traces suggest handling, for example in clay models or small finds, the horns likely participated in performative acts, as supports or emblems presented during ceremonies. The close association with palatial centers further implies that the horns were embedded within civic religious performance, processions, offerings, and public display. No single interpretation exhausts the evidence for the Minoan horns of consecration. The strongest position, supported by the distributional and iconographic record, is that they functioned as polyvalent cultic emblems. Formal markers of sanctity derived from bull symbolism but incorporated into architectural, ritual and possibly cosmological registers of symbolism. The persistence of the motif across media and site types suggests it was a central and flexible sign in Minoan visual religion. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so you won't miss new ones.